The year was 68, maybe 69. The air in Los Angeles was thick with promise and the smell of jasmine, exhaust fumes, and something else. Something wild, reckless, and undeniably alive. Imagine it. A chrome gleam cutting through a summer night, the thrum of a souped-up engine, the hum a predator makes before it strikes. That was me. Jack. Young Jack. A blur of speed and ambition, tearing down Sunset Boulevard. The city lights a streaking kaleidoscope blurring into a single vibrant ribbon. My 67 GTO, cherry red, a beast I'd put together myself, roared beneath me, the tires a whispered prayer on the warm asphalt. Dust devils danced in the harsh glare of passing headlights, caught for a split second, then vanished. Everything felt fast. Too fast. I was chasing something back then, or maybe just running from nothing at all. The music was always on, a living, breathing thing. Vinyl spun, speakers hummed, and the vibrations shook the floorboards of every club from Hollywood to Malibu. I played a mean guitar, or so I thought. My band, the Faded Neons. We called ourselves because that's what we felt like. Bright, flickering, destined to burn out fast but unforgettable while we lasted. We'd play dives, packed with bodies swaying, sweat dripping from the low ceilings, the air thick with cigarette smoke and cheap perfume. Sometimes we'd land a gig at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and the roar of the crowd, the blinding stage lights, felt like pure oxygen. I thrived on it. The energy, the adoration. The way the neon signs outside, a fractured kaleidoscope of liquor ads and flashing marquee names, bled into the darkness, painting the city in electric dreams. I remember one night, it was late spring, the ocean breeze carrying the faint tang of salt and something sweeter from the flower stalls. We were playing at a spot near Venice, a real hole in the wall with a stage made of crates and a sound system that buzzed more than it sang. But the crowd, man, they felt it. I was ripping into a solo, my fingers flying, the guitar wailing like a banshee. Sweat streamed down my face, stinging my eyes, but I didn't care. I could feel every person in that room, their energy, their hunger for something loud and real. After the set, I leaned against the sticky bar counter, the smell of spilled beer and stale smoke clinging to my clothes. A girl, tall and willowy, with eyes like emeralds, bought me a drink. "You play like you're trying to outrun the devil," she said, her voice a low murmur against the pulsing bass. I laughed, a sharp, confident sound. "Maybe I am, honey. Maybe I am." I thought I owned the world. I thought I was invincible. I thought the music would never stop. Those were the days of blurred lines, of promises made and forgotten before dawn. I'd wake up in strange apartments, the morning light slicing through dusty blinds, feeling a hollow ache that I'd immediately drown in coffee and the next gig. My old man, he worked the docks, called me a dreamer, a wastrel. He wasn't wrong, not entirely. But I saw myself as an artist, a seeker. I was living, really living. Most nights, I'd get behind the wheel of the GTO, engine growling, and just drive. Hours would melt away on the highway, the desert stretching out on either side, black as pitch. The only lights the stars above and my headlights cutting a path forward. The roar of the engine was my rhythm section, the wind my chorus. Miles and miles, just me and the road, 110 on the speedometer. I'd fly past dusty diners, their solitary neon signs humming promises of coffee and pie, small beacons in the vast darkness. We spent money as fast as we made it, sometimes faster. We'd throw cash at a new amp, a flashier guitar, a custom paint job for my ride. Always more, always better, always brighter. Pride, that's what it was. A blinding, deafening pride. We were the kings of our own small, neon-lit kingdom. We thought we were untouchable. They say I was reckless, that I pushed too hard, that I took too many chances. And they weren't wrong. I'd bet on anything. A hand of cards, a drag race, whether the sun would rise blood red or hazy gray. Always winning, or so it felt, until I didn't. There was a buzz about us, a fleeting fame. We even played a few college campuses. The roar of the crowd almost as intoxicating as the roar of my engine. Kids would gather around my GTO after shows, admiring the polished chrome, the gleaming paint, the way the engine idled with a barely contained fury. I'd flash them a grin, sign an autograph or two, and feel that rush, that surge of power. What was the consequence? A few broken hearts, maybe a few disgruntled club owners, some frayed nerves for my bandmates who always had to deal with my wild ideas. But nothing major. Nothing that couldn't be fixed with another blazing guitar solo or a smooth apology. Life was a carnival, a dizzying ride under flashing lights, and I was holding the golden ticket. I never looked back. I just sped forward, always towards the next bright light, the next loud chord. Did I ever think it would end? Never. Not once. How could something so vibrant just vanish? The fall, when it came, wasn't a sudden crash. Not at first. It was a slow, sickening slide. Like a perfect guitar riff that starts to unravel, a single sour note, then another, until the whole song is just noise. The year must have been 73. The energy of the city felt different, thinner. The music changed and we, the faded neons, well, we weren't fading. We were dissolving. Our sound, once so cutting edge, began to sound dated. The crowds dwindled. The calls from agents stopped coming. The promises I'd made, the ones I'd forgotten, started to echo back, hollow and accusatory. The money dried up, fast. My bandmates, one by one, drifted away. Jimmy, our drummer, went back to Oklahoma to work his uncle's farm. Randy, the bassist, started selling real estate. They stopped calling. I stopped calling them. The silence, after years of constant noise, was deafening. I remember staring at my old GTO, once a gleaming symbol of freedom, now just a hunk of metal parked under a perpetually dripping oak tree. The chrome was dull, the paint faded, gathering dust like old memories. It needed work. I needed work. But I couldn't even start the engine anymore. Couldn't afford the gas. Couldn't afford the parts. The engine, once a symphony, was a silent, rusting monument to my arrogance. My guitar, the one I'd poured my soul into, sat propped against a wall unplayed, gathering dust. Its strings were loose, tarnished. The amplifier, a vintage Marshall stack that used to shake whole buildings, sat unplugged, a dead black box. The music had died, all right. Not just on the radio, but inside me. The last gig we played, it was a half-empty bar in Reseda, the neon sign outside flickering erratically like a dying heart. I fumbled a solo, missed a chord. It was humiliating. The shame was a bitter taste in my mouth, worse than any cheap whiskey. I didn't even say goodbye to the other two guys. I just walked out into the cold night, the faint smell of exhaust and rain in the air, and never looked back. That was the night. The night the music died, For me, anyway. I drifted. For months, maybe years. It's all a blur. I remember the feel of cold linoleum under my cheek in some cheap motel room, the taste of stale beer on my tongue, the hollow ache in my gut that wasn't just hunger. I sold the GTO, piece by agonizing piece. The custom wheels went first, then the engine, then the body itself. Each sale chipped away at a part of me. The money vanished like smoke. I took odd jobs, washing dishes, sweeping floors, unloading trucks, anything to keep the wolves from the door. But the wolves were already inside, gnawing. Loneliness became my constant companion, a silent shadow that followed me everywhere. The bustling streets of LA that once felt like home, now just felt vast and indifferent. I saw faces, but I didn't see people. I was just a ghost, walking through the city I once owned. One evening, I was holed up in a tiny rented room above a laundromat, the smell of detergent and damp clothes constantly in the air. The rain outside was relentless, drumming a mournful beat on the tin roof. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. The last $10 I had was gone, spent on a bottle of rot gut. I stared at my reflection in the grimy mirror, a gaunt stranger staring back. My eyes were bloodshot, my hair long and unkempt. A knock on the door, soft at first, then insistent. I ignored it. It came again, louder. A voice, muffled by the door. "Jack, you in there? It's Frank. Heard you were unwell." Frank. Old Frank from the band. The one who stuck around the longest. I didn't answer. The knocking stopped. I heard his footsteps recede. The silence that followed felt heavier, more suffocating than anything before. I closed my eyes. They say that night, I lay there for hours, just listening to the rain, watching the shadows lengthen and deepen until they swallowed everything. They say I just disappeared for a while after that nobody knew where I went or what I was doing. Some whisper I ended up out in the desert, just wandering, trying to outrun the echoes of my own mistakes. All I know is the world felt incredibly empty. A vast, silent stage where the lead act had forgotten his lines and the curtain had come down. For good. What do you do when the music stops? And all that's left is the hum of a dying refrigerator and the drip of a leaky faucet. The bottom, when you hit it, isn't some abstract concept. It's hard, cold, real. For me, it was a dusty road outside of Bakersfield, baking under a merciless sun. My car, a rusted-out Ford pickup I'd traded for some old guitar amps, coughed its last breath right there. No gas, no money, no hope. That was the moment. The dust, thick and red, settled on my eyelashes, coating my throat. I just sat there for a long time, the only sound the buzz of flies and the distant hum of the highway, a sound I once loved, now just a mocking whisper. I must have looked like a scarecrow, burned out and forgotten. I finally stumbled out, my clothes grimy, my skin cracked, and started walking. Just walking. No destination. No plan. Only the scorching heat and the endless horizon. I ended up in a small town called Harmony Creek, a place so small you could miss it if you blinked. There was an old garage, a ramshackle place with a sign that read, "Lou's Auto Repair." Lou, a grizzled old-timer with grease under his fingernails and a permanent squint, took me in. He didn't ask questions. He just gave me a wrench, a rag, and told me to get to work. That was 75, maybe 76. I started at the bottom, literally. Cleaning oil pans, sweeping floors. My hands, once deft on a fretboard, learned the feel of cold steel, the smell of engine oil, the intricate dance of gears and pistons. Long days, hard work, honest sweat. The kind that washes away more than just dirt. It washed away the arrogance, the self-pity, the lingering bitterness. Lou taught me how to fix cars. Not just patch them up, but really fix them. To listen to the engine, to understand its rhythm, its sickness, its needs. It was a different kind of music, this mechanical symphony. The clink of tools, the whine of an air compressor, the steady thrum of a well-tuned engine. I remember one winter morning, the air crisp and sharp, smelling of pine and frost. I was under a beat-up Ford Fairlane, wrestling with a rusted exhaust pipe, my breath fogging in the cold. Lou shuffled over, holding 2 steaming mugs of coffee. "You got a touch, kid," he grunted, his voice raspy. "You listen to the metal." I looked up, wiping grease from my forehead. "Just trying to make things run right, Lou." He nodded, a rare approving gesture. "That's all any of us can do, ain't it? Make things run right." It wasn't a grand revelation, but it was honest. It was true. It was a simple truth that cut through all the noise and ego of my past. Slowly, painstakingly, I started to put myself back together. I saved every dime, bought a small house, fixed it up with my own hands. I started showing up, on time, every day. I learned to look people in the eye again. The community of Harmony Creek, they were wary at first. They'd heard whispers, perhaps, of the wild kid from the city, the one who burned too bright. But consistency, honest work, and a willingness to help, they chip away at suspicion. I started volunteering at the local youth center. They had a small, forgotten recreation room, and I saw a beat-up old drum kit, a couple of busted guitars. The sight of them, not playing, not making music, stirred something in me. I started fixing them, one by one, tuning the drums, replacing strings, patching up old amps. Soon, kids started showing up. Timidly at first, then with open curiosity. I started showing them chords, simple rhythms. Not like a rock star, but like a mechanic, patiently explaining how the parts fit together. One kid, little Mikey, he was maybe 12, always looking at his feet. He picked up an old acoustic guitar I'd restrung, his fingers clumsy, hesitant. "I can't do it, Uncle Jack," he mumbled, frustrated. I knelt beside him, my voice low. "Ain't about doing it perfect, Mikey. It's about doing it, about finding your own sound. Listen to it, really listen." I showed him 3 simple chords, taught him a basic strum, and then something shifted. A light came into his eyes. He started playing, haltingly at first, then with more confidence. The sound was rough, imperfect, but it was his. It was music. Not the blinding neon roar of my past, but a soft, honest melody. Over the years, the garage prospered. We kept Harmony Creek's cars running, its tractors humming. I taught apprentices, passing on not just the skills, but the philosophy of honest work. The youth center's music room became a vibrant place, full of amateur bands, noisy, enthusiastic. The kids called me Uncle Jack. No one knew about the faded neons or the wild days on Sunset Strip. Or if they did, they never mentioned it. They just saw the man who could fix anything, who always had time for a kid with a broken bike or a dream of making noise. Some might say I traded the roar of a GTO for the quiet hum of a tractor engine, the flash of neon for the warm glow of a workshop lamp. And perhaps I did. But this life, this earned peace, felt more real, more substantial. It didn't burn out. It just kept glowing, steadily, softly, like a distant porch light on a long, dark road. Isn't that what we all look for, in the end?